You're listening to iFanboy Pick of the Week, number 981. I'm Josh Flanagan. I'm here with my co-host, Big Connor Kilpatrick.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
And down there in the third chair is Dr. Ryan Haupt.
Hey, everybody. Keeping it warm for Ron.
It's more your chair than his. Welcome to iFanboy. He's going to see this. Welcome to iFanboy 2025, 20th year doing the show, 25th year doing the iFanboy. I didn't mean to say the, but I like an article where it doesn't belong. So I says to myself, iFanboy, I do. I really do. Every week for 25 years, one of us picked the book they like the best of the week. The best from their stack of comics from the week. And that is the pick of the week, as we have so named it. You'll find other outlets using that phrase, but I'm fairly certain we were the first to ever say pick of the week in any context.
Ever.
I could feel confident about that, right? We will talk about that comic book. We will talk about other comics that came out this week. We will talk about the Patron Pick. And if you don't know what that is, we explain it because we're not professional, but we're professional adjacent. There's listener mail.
Was it prosumer? We're prosumer.
Well, that's our equipment was prosumer for sure.
No,
we were
absolutely now pro.
Right.
We've got pro mics.
No, I was thinking about when we would go shoot video. We were definitely
early days.
We were in the prosumer market. Sure. Yeah,
100%.
Then again, you can do a show without a phone now, so who knows?
All those years of backbreaking camera work at the con, we could have just held our phones up.
Yeah, and you can even buy like a little thing to hold it with to make your hand more comfortable. There will be spoilers for the comics, or there could be. I mean, honestly, not really a minefield there. But if you're concerned about it, look at the show notes. It's there. Exercise your own caution. We don't want to ruin anything for you, but we got to talk about them this week. Ryan, when Ryan's here, Ryan usually has the pick.
That is how it tends to go. Yeah. Yes, people should know that. Yeah. No, I was just thinking about the prosumer discussion. I feel like you're the kind of guys who like want to operate a submersible with a PlayStation controller. Like that's
not at all. We just couldn't afford pro.
Oh yeah, no, exactly.
It was a money push issue.
So you're saying you're going with Jim Cameron if you can afford it. But
absolutely.
Okay.
Well, no, I'm going to be more an independent film model, but I'm going to want the good stuff to get the quality. I will not go with I'm very budget conscious, you see, but quality will out. You just find the best. Want to talk about my stereo system? I could do it.
No,
I think we have a very budget-friendly comic with some prosumer quality story and art in One World Under Doom #5 by Ryan North, with art duties being wonderfully rendered by R.B. Silva, with colors by Dave Curiel and letters by Travis Lantham. This has been a great series so far. This issue is the sort of final battle against Dormammu. At one point, Doom Dormammu or Doom, it's kind of unclear who pulled the sneak attack of transporting all the heroes to a bubble dimension, but Doom sends a bunch of Doom bots to help the heroes get home, and then they all face off against Dormammu, with Doom sort of orchestrating the final push to get Dormammu sent back to a doomed dimension. And the way he binds the spell is the spell will keep Dormammu at bay as long as Doom remains Emperor of Earth. So he's sort of found a way to keep himself in power indefinitely, without any elections or regardless of the will of the people. There's no metaphors here. It's just a story. But the rest of the issue is the cleanup effort. I'm not crying. You're crying. So the rest of the story is a cleanup effort. There's some great dialogue back and forth between some Ryan North favorites and with Squirrel Girl and the Fantastic Four. And then Thor just throws a Mjolnir-sized monkey wrench in the whole affair and says, hey, maybe Doom's not wrong. My dad Odin took over the 9 realms by force. This is the only realm that wasn't at one point taken over by force, by the Asgardians, but Doom seems to be doing a good job. Maybe you all don't have your heads on straight here. And him and Tony, have a very impassioned discussion about it. And then it ends with, I felt the last page, Maria Hill shows up and she says she's got a plan to bring Doom down once and for all. And the last page felt very much like an earlier era of comics where like the last page would be a Frank Castle reveal or an old school Nick Fury reveal. And it kind of had that same like, okay, here we got a new heavy on the field. And We're gonna see what happens.
It did serve to make me go, oh, Shield is still a thing.
Yep.
Because I've forgotten. They've been so long since the Marvel Studios infighting got rid of Shield, and I missed that bit. I mean, Thor's a monarchist, so it wasn't totally surprising that
he's a monarch.
Yeah, and he is a monarch. I didn't totally buy that I mean, I get it. He's a monarch, but he also knows Doom's evil.
Yeah.
So I didn't really 100% buy it, but I mean, someone had to make the argument. We're 5 issues into what I think 8 or 9. So we're at the point in the story where there's got to be some conflict about whether or not we want to keep Doom in this position. I get it. This is how the story structure works, but it is what I mean. At least it didn't last the whole issue. It was just part of the issue. Yeah,
I think if it had dragged on, it would have been. I liked that it was sort of the penultimate event of the issue was this conversation. So you kind of have the big fight, and then the cleanup, and then this long conversation, and then Maria Hill. And
I mean, Thor's not only a monarch and a monarchist, but he's a monarch of the old school in which you had to fight to take your throne.
Right? I mean, the Vikings, fairly notorious for how they gained territory and resources.
Right. In a vacuum, it makes total sense. It's just that Thor exists outside the vacuum in which he's been fighting, Dr. Doom for 50 years. But I get it. I
mean, Viking is literally a verb. You would go a Viking, right? You'd go out and Vike around.
I thought this was
they were just vampires riding bikes.
I thought this was a
a
really stellar R.B. Silva issue.
Yes, I thought so too. That was
and David Curiel on colors. It's there was some really nice character work here. There's some crazy magic action in the first 6 pages, featuring lots of green. I think it's a good looking book, and I like that Doom keeps putting backstops in place. Like you think you've got me here, but I got you, and you, if you want to defeat me, fine. Dormammu's going to come back, and it's fun because the story isn't done. We're a little more halfway through, so they still have to be in peril, and the villain still has to be winning. And I thought this was strong. I mean, it was very on the nose. There was the whole bit in the middle of the talking heads was very, very familiar. But yeah, I mean, I thought this was good.
Well, I have a confession here, and if you go back at the video, you'll see the exact point where I went, "Oh shit, I didn't read this."
Oh no.
Well, so here's the thing: as I don't ever do this, where I left this for last, because I was like, I'm going to save this because I've really been enjoying this, and then I had a weird week, and so I was sort of, and I just thought I finished it in my head, and it switched off, and then just now we went, and I went, "Oh no!"
Well, Josh, spoiler warning, Josh. Spoiler.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. No. I was right then. But I literally have a recurring nightmare I've had my entire life of going to a class and realizing I missed the entire semester and it's time to take the test.
I have that same one, but it's not about the test. It's where I didn't actually graduate because I didn't have enough credits.
Mm-hmm.
Like I literally have this dream to this day where I didn't go to this math class. That means I didn't actually graduate college. Like it's I don't know why.
No, why didn't you go to the class?
I don't know. In the dream, I just never did it.
See me, I just forgot. I forgot that it was there. Now I understand why, but
I made a point in my last class ever of graduate school. I never went and checked my final grade.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, and but that's what I told my advisor. He did not like that answer. And when I said it during a lab meeting, I was, like, so all the other grad students younger than me are there, still going through it. And I was just like, yeah, I didn't check it because it doesn't matter. Like, and he's like, Ryan, it matters. Like, no, it doesn't. You convinced me it matters. Prove to me that me knowing what grade I got in that class matters in any capacity.
I realized that somewhere in the middle of college too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, these girls. But I did care just because I was like, I can do well at this without trying.
Yeah,
I think if we return to the Marvel Universe, that if coming out of this event, the Shield returns, that would be worth it, because I think they're a really important part of the Marvel Universe, and not having that. So I think what happened is, in the absence of Shield, now there's like a billion anagram groups in the Marvel Universe. There's Sword. There was one other one this week that about aliens.
AIM.
There was some. In the Iron Man book, there's
quasi-governmental organizations.
The one in the Iron Man book, like they're all like they became mercenaries, so they're like Black Rock.
And then there was another book. It was about aliens. I don't remember which book it was, but it's just like, I mean, Shield and Sword existed at the same time, but because they were playing each other. But still, like without Shield to fill in the vacuum, they just keep putting in these other organizations when Shield just to do all the work. Anyway,
can I make another observation about this? And I will not turn this into a personal story, probably. You know, Maria Hill, not a new character, but in my mind, kind of a new character. You want to talk about a character that they brought up from out of nowhere and made stick in a meaningful way, that when she shows up, you're like, oh shit. In fact, in a world where they did what they did to Nick Fury, she's not a bad substitute.
No, she's great.
Like she shows up, she has the same effect. It sticks around. This drawing of her is fantastic. Her arms in a sling, by the way, that goes along with the colorway and design of the.
Like, they went to the Batman School of Branding. They're all about branding at Shield.
Shield, you know, and she's just like, she's in a cool pose and her gun is slung. And you say what you will, I am not a fan of firearms, but that gun looks cool as shit next to her. I can't tell you it doesn't. Because I grew up with G.I. Joe and an Uzi, and I'm not a violent person, but it's a good drawing.
It's
a little part of me loves a submachine gun. There, I said it.
Apparently March this year was her 20th anniversary of her debut. She's a Bendis
2005. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yep.
In comics terms, she's new.
No, I know. I'm just saying. I felt like she was a Bendis era creation. That
Absolutely,
solidified by Hickman.
Yeah. I would say. Well, I wouldn't say solidified by Hickman. I think she was a very much Bendis character for a while. But I thought this was a good issue. I thought this was an interesting week where at first, when I finished reading my books, I thought, oh man, I don't know what Ryan's going to do. But then I really thought about it. Like, oh no, there's like 3 or 4 books I really liked.
I had good books.
Yeah. I don't know why.
I didn't. I struggled with the choice. I didn't find any. I didn't feel that any book stood out super obviously or automatically.
I think there's like 5 books I could have picked when I thought about it.
One other thing I always enjoy about the big event comic is, you know, I find that like the big event comic tends to interrupt other storylines in other books, but within the big event book itself, it's always funny to see the little super specific timestamps to tell you what era of the comic you're in. And in this particular instance, it's got to be Iron Man's terrible costume for me. Like I can't stand this armor.
One.
Yes.
Yeah, it's terrible. The rivets.
Yes.
Is he wearing that in his solo book?
No, he's in the silver. He's in the Silver Centurion one. The
red and silver one.
Yep.
Yeah, I would have preferred that.
Yeah, it's just it's all bad. But
actually, in the last issue, the silver one got destroyed, and he went back to this one.
The magic one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. That's unfortunate.
But you know, he's changing them here. I mean, like if I was to get like the Iron Man book, I would go with a multiple use armor situation. Again, having grown up when we did many versions of characters and figures, you know, you got they never do. They always do it in the car. They do it in the toys. Like there'd be 50 different Batmans, but they don't do it in the comic. You tend to
because they're moving units than toys.
I get it, but you can put them in the books like this. The right tool for the right job.
Good pick, Ryan. I did enjoy this issue. And there's several tie-ins this week. I don't know if we're talking about all of them or a couple of them at least. And it's been a fun little spice and wrinkle in the Marvel universe. But let's jump over to the DC universe and their Elseworlds event, DC versus Vampires World War V number 10. I assume this is a 12 issue. I assume that's what it is.
I mean, it's either 11 or 13 then.
This was great.
This was the last issue, and I didn't know, not what that.
No. This was great, and the ending was genuinely surprising. Although I guess I shouldn't have been. But
well, I would love it if Josh hadn't read a single book this week and just came and was just here.
It'd be a throwback.
I have done that. It was a long time ago.
You read Powers 27, and that's it. And it was the pick.
He didn't want to drive across the valley. This was great, and I thought Rosenberg had a really nice handle on Scott Free.
Yeah,
and his voice. Even though I still have problems where, like in the first scene, he walks up and 2 characters confront him. Like, who are these people? Like, I don't know who those 2 people are.
Isn't the one Raven?
It looks like Raven. I guess that's Raven, but who's the?
And
who's
then I
the-
was like, how do you turn See, this is, I mean, it's a conceit of the thing is that anybody of any
a
kind
vampire.
can be turned into a vampire. But with
Yeah.
her, I was like, come on. She's a demon. That outranks vampire.
right.
But I guess it's a magic disease. So
I kind of want Ra's al Ghul to cut the face thing off his mask and just have
Yeah,
his beard,
it's very
hang out of
distracting.
beard hang out of his mask.
Is it just to hide the mutton chops?
I think so. Because at first he was secret.
I see.
I
didn't
thought
notice
this was great, and the turn. This is the spoiler we warned you about, that the new gods were in on it with the apocalyptian gods was genuinely surprising. And then Darkseid squishing Scott in his palm was also genuinely surprising.
Does Darkseid just keep getting bigger? He was huge at the end.
He's massive. I mean, Scott's like sitting in his palm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to go back and forth to check on the right hand. Did he squish the baby or the okay? I went back and forth. I was like, all right, it was Mr. Miracle.
I also I get a kick out of Alfred and his dead man baby Bjorn.
It's fantastic.
It's I think it was the last issue. He said, like, my name's not Dead Man. Boston brand.
This was
That was
great.
this
And it was this one. And Scott's reaction to it was genuinely funny. Like, this was a really funny issue. Matthew Rosenberg can write funny really well. And and the dead man talking to him and Matt Scott free. And give credit to Otto Schmidt. And this is page 13 on your digital reader. The three little lines above Scott's head to indicate, like, boink, like surprise. Like, it's just comic book language, right? We just know what that means. And that was
Well, what's interesting though is you said like Rosenberg could be really funny, which he can, but not just that.
no,
Some
he's
guys
got it
are
all.
funny
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
just funny, but like he's putting it all in here. Tom Taylor, same sort of thing. I Rosenberg is to me is a really underrated writer. Just
and Otto Smith just continues to kill it.
Yeah, it's really
he's perfect.
He's
And the
perfect
thing-
for this, and the different.
And
This is go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the thing that I liked about the reveal and the turn is, we think of the new gods as good guys. It's literally, to quote Iron Man from the previous issue we just talked about, like his name is literally Apocalypse. Like he's a bad guy, a dark side. So we think of the new gods as good guys, but like Highfather was willing to give his son to be raised, like Scott Free, his own son, to be raised by his mortal enemy and have a terrible life growing up on.
But to bring about peace
For the greater good.
Yeah, that's good. That's good guy work.
Well, that's probably the same argument they're making now when they.
It is
Possible. Yeah.
I mean,
so I thought
stopping
that
the infection from spreading outside there.
I mean, but if you're a god, and you have like this is presumably a small part of their domain, and they have to worry about the rest of the universe, like you gotta burn that stuff down and create the fire break.
right.
Plus,
So
at this point, how many humans are really left at this point?
So
Good point.
it impressed me that like you take characters that are traditionally heroic, put them in opposition to the heroes we're working for, and I can sort of see the logical reason why that still works in a way that doesn't break the story, doesn't make me think that the character not like I believe Orion would do this. He's
absolutely.
But and also like there's always been like the new gods in Apocalypse are not they're a war, but it's more like a Cold War. Like they communicate, they go back and forth, like, and there's lots of examples. I feel like I can't, but there's lots of examples of Darkseid teaming up with whoever else because it serves them. And sometimes there's a they'll backstab him at the end or something like that. But like he's not.
He's more utilitarian.
Like
he's more utilitarian. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's pure evil, but at times like he's rational, I suppose. And the same can be said the other way. Like they're making a rational decision. And I honestly I like that as a choice a lot more than if they'd been turned into vampires, so they had been befuddled by wizardry, whatever it is. Like it was a
I like that they're making the choice they're making to try to stop the vampire threat from continuing. Also,
they haven't been co-opted.
Damien with the multiple tongue cutting outings of
That's a good bit.
Yeah, gross.
I'm telling you,
Strange renders a tongue.
Strange cover for what happens in the comic. I get that we don't really care or talk about covers, but it's such a big new gods turn. It's the Barbara Damien face off isn't really
maybe it's a red herring.
I really liked Grodd in this. Grodd has got a lot to do in this, and I think he's great as a commander of this army.
Mhm.
But I really like the unspoken moment where they're, once the turn happens and Grodd's like to Supergirl, you need to get the hell out of here because we can't
Mhm.
lose you. She grabs Lois and flies off, and it's never pointed out. It just happens. It's not like a focus. She just takes Lois and goes, and I thought that was a nice little moment that she protects her family, without even thinking about it.
Well, I like the role Lois is playing. Like she's almost she's not necessarily, she doesn't have superpowers, but she's very much a leader, a voice. Like voicing her leadership in every situation where it's needed, and I like that for her.
She's Quinn from Reign of Fire.
I did not read the backup.
I tried to.
I think that's
I don't
why.
know.
I think I read the first page and I was like, oh, never mind.
I was like, is this Delirium from Sandman? What is this? I have no idea what this is.
I read it, but I did not understand anything that happened.
I don't know what that's. Is this part 1?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it says to be continued at the end.
What the?
What the devil?
I mean, I'm just saying, you get 3 fairly seasoned readers here, and none of us had any idea what it was.
I feel bad. I like Marley Zarconi's art a lot, but
I've read stuff by Cecil Castellucci that I liked.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It has, but still.
So Google AI tells me that this is a 12-issue miniseries. So if it's not hallucinating, then that's so we got 2 more to go.
Ironic that it seems to be a miniseries about hallucinations. You're worried about your AI friend hallucinating about it.
They're
so
using
we will
Sandman Delirium iconography, and I don't think they should. It's confusing. It's brand confusion.
So
they're taking it away from Neil Gaiman and putting it somewhere else.
Also, would a stake work on Elastic Man? Couldn't it just sprung off him?
It would not.
Yeah. Kite Man, sure. You can take Kite Man down with a stake. He'd probably, I feel like Kite Man would fly into a stake.
If that's the case, then he would be the most immortal. But maybe like
we had that with Plastic Man in the previous series. Remember when he was the most deadly?
Yeah.
They just shouldn't have been able to turn.
He has to take a
right. You shouldn't be able to bite them.
He's not powered, so he's like our man. Like,
if you go by what they've said, they shouldn't be able to turn because I don't even think they have blood.
Oh,
they're fully rubber people, so they shouldn't have been able to turn at all.
Hold on, great band name.
Fully Rubber People.
Fully Rubber People.
Opening for Dinosaur Jr.
Or as an album, as maybe a better album title.
Oh, I said Elastic Man. I meant Elongated Man. Save your comments, haters.
We all knew, and I didn't even notice it, but I knew.
We're gonna take a quick break. You can start writing your emails to Ryan and then send them when we get back.
Don't do it.
All right. The second worst Robin gets his own story. Robin and Batman, Jason Todd, #1 from Jeff Lemire, Dustin Nguyen, and Steve Wan. This is a sequel to Robin and Batman, which there's another miniseries that came out before.
Before we get going, did you give any thought about not reading this? I would assume
no.
Were you interested in it? I guess is a more
yeah. I was.
I immediately looked to see who the creative team was, and I'll be honest. Jeff Lemire was not enough, but Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen, I went, I gotta check it out.
No, I really liked the last miniseries, which I believe was a Dick Grayson one, if I recall correctly. Well, but I think the creative team is strong. The Jason Todd thing is complicated because, and I don't want to spend all of our time talking about it. I'll just say that he was destined to fail as a Robin. He failed as a Robin. He came back the same day that Bucky came back. Bucky's been really successful. I think Jason Todd has been unsuccessful as a character who has returned. I don't
hate him.
I hate him from when his time as Robin, but he he's brought nothing to the table really as Red Hood or whatever.
More than Duke.
Yeah, like
I think there's something interesting when you place him with like Dick.
His brothers.
Yeah, like there was Matt Rosenberg. You wrote that really good story.
Yeah, they're pretty good stories here and there.
There have. I'm just saying that like there's been things that were of value. I will say I think that this book was kind of difficult because you're watching like Batman already having made a huge mistake.
Right.
Like
Of just
once
making him Robin in the first place.
way too soon. Wait, like he, heart on his sleeve. He was trying to be like, and like, and Alfred knows it. And I thought it was a pretty, it's almost like a raw adult kind of book in like this superhero world. Like it was almost like in a way it was worse than getting clubbed to death by the Joker with a crowbar. Because you're just like, this is fucked. Like this kid needs a lot of help, and you just did the worst possible thing with him.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't quite this bad in the original comics, but it was. Yeah, I mean, I thought this was great, and one of the things I liked about it the most was that you could see the watercolor paper.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God,
beautiful!
Dustin Gwynn, when he first showed up, like he had his own style, but it was still, and like now he's just like, I'm doing what I want, and you had this amazing paper texture, and my God, if that is digital and not real, I will hate everything in the world.
I know,
I'm pretty sure it is.
Either way, it's a nice effect because I was so happy to just be looking at watercolor paper and the watercolors on it. He's just such a good artist, and Jeff Lemire.
And he does young people really well.
He does. He gives them young people bodies. But Jeff Lemire.
I wasn't going to say it like that, but.
Well, that's what he does. He doesn't draw some tiny adults. He draws kids.
His Alfred was a little.
I don't love his. He's always drawn Alfred this way. I don't love his full head of hair Alfred, but whatever. And I hate the fact they just won't give Robin the classic costume, but they give Batman the classic costume. I just don't understand it. But Jeff Lemire can be up and down, but when he's on, he's really good, and I think he's really good in these Robin and Batman miniseries. I think the darkness is a feature here. It's like this is a really fucked up situation, and there's a reason why it didn't work out.
Mm-hmm. I think
Batman was feeling like you said, he was trying to do the right thing, but it was at one point he's like, I don't know what he wants. Batman is not. He's not only not board certified. He's basically a 12-year-old kid. So
yeah, he's not fully developed either, at least in the all-rounded sense. This art is amazing.
It's really great.
This is like every page I'm looking at, I was like, this is like way beyond comic book art. This is gorgeous. Like the figures and the compositions and the storytelling.
But that double page spread at the very beginning when
but the sort of brushwork on a hair and the coloring, which is, we say coloring a lot and we mean when they fill it in, but literally this is just painting. It's gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. He should win an Eisner.
Yeah. And and I mean, like the dream sequence, I could almost like hear the David Lynch music going along with it. Like it was really good. The thing that I found compelling about this narratively is I remember learning at some point, I think it was in regard to like the way Black Mirror structures its episodes, where in the classical like Greek tragedy sense, the story isn't, the outcome. Like even if we didn't know that Jason Todd eventually has his run-in with the Joker and dies, like this story is not going to end well, and that the end is inevitable, and so there's something there about watching it just how it goes wrong.
Absolutely.
And that to me,
there's tragedy in knowing the ending when the characters don't.
Yeah.
It makes everything more impactful.
And so I thought that was one aspect of the story itself, even if Jason Todd is nobody's favorite Robin, that like made me want to keep reading this.
Oh, he's definitely someone's favorite Robin.
Really?
Every character has someone who loves them.
Probably someone who also thinks Rorschach is their hero.
There's psychopaths who love Damien. I mean, the story's pretty simple. It's just there's Batman and Robin keep running into the same gang, and Robin keeps.
There are adults who that's been their Robin their whole life.
I know. Listen, we don't get them the healthcare they need. That's a failing of our country. So they keep running into this one gang. Jason keeps fucking it up, and then finally he gets a chance at redemption. But then a real creepy looking vigilante with a sniper rifle shows up and gets in the way. I thought this is really well done. I'm excited for it. I was really happy. I mean,
So you don't know who that is at the end?
No, I've never seen this before.
I thought it was like KG Beast or something.
The Wraith. He says the Wraith is here.
I mean,
never heard of him.
It's not unhush-like.
Well,
I can't believe the Wraith hasn't been used.
Well, we don't know that that's the case, but yeah.
Right.
Really good. So if you didn't check this out, definitely do, because it was terrific.
The Wraith of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Action Comics 1087 kicks off Mark Waid's new run on the book. that I think is going to be entirely taking place in the past as we see the adventures of Superboy, as this is in the cover. It took me a minute because the cover's so awesome by Ryan Sook that at first I didn't like the Skylar Partridge art, but by the end I really did. I thought this was fun. I thought if you're gonna do a story like this that encapsulates all of Superman's history, then Mark Waid's the guy to do it. And they're giving him.
I liked the opening where it's like Superman, but make it Willy Wonka. Like he's just giving stuff, just giving flight rings to kids. Here, fly around, have fun, children.
That's great. I mean, if you're gonna do surly teen Clark Kent, you got to do it carefully. But if there's literally, if only one person was allowed to do that, it's gonna be Mark Waid. You know, it just is gonna get that right. I mean, this was actually fairly huge moment in terms of this is Superman's debut to the world,
coming out party.
And I'm gonna say, Ma and Pa Kent are shockingly media savvy at this stage for a couple of farm folks, you know. But
well,
I loved the moment where, you know, like shit goes down and Pa's like, good.
Well, it's the opposite of the fucking Man of Steel scene, of Steel, where he says, "Let the people die to save your secret."
Awful.
They give Clark. They give Clark the new Superman hair, the curly banged hair that we've seen in the trailers for the new movie. I thought this was really fun. I love the idea of Clark as science and space geek who was, you know, through the ages and into his current adult life. He just loves this stuff. And you know, there's a shadowy conspiracy and there's some dude at the end who can also fly. I just thought this was really, really fun. And I'm excited for it. Summer of Superman. They've got the Superman books have been so strong for so long. I wish more people read them. People should read this one.
No, you're absolutely right. And they have been. I mean, we've been reading great Superman books and like a lot of them, not just, you know, Action Comics has been great for a long time, just across the board. Even the ones that were like, they're not great, they've still been enjoyable and well done and fun.
I like that I like him seeding stuff in, like when he's an adult. Is he adult? Yeah, when Clark's an adult at the Space Museum, he walks past the mystery device, and it's got a little plaque with the explanation of it. And then we see it later.
That was cool.
We see it again when Clark's a kid in the museum, but with no plaque explaining it. So that was interesting. And then I loved that his dad's like, you got to have a history lesson before you go to the science center. And so he makes him go to the museum all about the Justice Society, and he doesn't want to be there. I thought that was fun. I thought this was.
I liked his Superboy costume in this too. I like that it's chucks and like shorts over his suit rather than the trunks.
The only thing I was a little, for someone who was so media savvy, like you said, Josh, the parents, that he doesn't have, like, there's no glasses disguise. So
I was thinking about that. Like, I know there's all sorts of theories about how he vibrates his face. Or
that was John Byrne trying to explain it, but
I really prefer the don't worry about it.
Yeah,
and so in that sense, it works.
Well, but the don't worry about it is predicated on glasses. Like, don't worry about the glasses would never do it, but there has to be something. He's just wondering. He's walking around as Clark, and then all of a sudden he's flying around as Superboy, and that it's like that's the kid from over there. You know?
Is it? Am I the only one who thinks the new Superman hair in both the movie and in this comic make him look like Richard Iowade from
Iowade?
Iowade, thank you, Richard Iowade from IT Crowd.
I don't see that.
Yes.
No.
Okay. I do. I hope I put that in other people's brains, and now they will see it.
I don't think he does.
All right, we're going to take another quick break.
Not bad, right?
They're going to work this out. We'll be back for more comics. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #9. Jason Aaron, Juan Ferreira. I think, are we inching closer to them working this out?
Gonna have to.
I can't tell.
Gonna have to.
They're getting close. Their factions are. Not all four of them.
Well, they're I mean, there's a bit here where, oh, by the way, full disclosure, thought I had finished this.
Oh, come on.
It's okay. I already flipped through it. But,
did you stop in the middle, not finish?
I had to have kids. They distract me, and I don't remember. We've talked about this.
God, don't you hate it when parenting gets in the way of reading Ninja Turtle comics?
There's the, when Raph comes back. I'm trying to remember who it was, I think, but he's like, why weren't you there? You should have been there. We're brothers. So there's little things where they're trying to pull that back together because they're recognizing that it's supposed to be one way, and they're trying to figure out how to let go of their anger. I don't want to see them hate each other for a really long time. It gets tiring, but because also you can't have them just one day go, oh, we're good together again. So it's a slow process.
The factions are coming together, and at the end, the final shot is not the final shot. I'm sorry, I didn't scroll all the way to the end, but there's a big shot of of Leo and Raph and Michelangelo all in their action pose together. I think they're starting to come together. I think this was an important issue for that. Was it Leo who hears Dead Splinter in this one?
Leo had already heard him. This is Mikey.
So Raph begins to hear him when he comes back to confront Leo about not being at the fight.
Right. So they're all they're gonna get there, and then someone's got to feed Donatello.
Yes, the
art the carbo load.
Yes, it is disturbing to see him juxtaposed against the other three turtles.
This cannot last.
At that cover, Jorge Fornes. Look at that. I mean, just again, you cannot overuse the white background cover because it's a little easier, I guess, to make an impact, but it makes an impact. It's beautiful. Look at all that.
Well, I thought the fight sequence through the building was really well done too.
Yep. Juan Ferrer is a genius. People don't know it, but he is.
It's such a good looking comic.
Yeah.
There's such great panels in here. I'd hold up to the camera, but there's the giant watermark blocking a lot of it. But
also just the textures that he's got in there, and like he's
coloring it too.
Well, the textures are great, and I love like how when they're moving at speed during these fights, the streak that Mike leaves behind is orange, and the streak that Raph leaves behind is red. And like even when Michelangelo shouts Donnie, the text is in purple, and I'm just like, yes, that's so like every little touch and detail is so good. I stopped reading this comic partway through and just texted two buddies of mine. And just said, "Oh, by the way, Jason Aaron's writing the Ninja Turtles comic now, and it's good." And they were excited.
Well, the great thing about this kind of book is you can, if you've got friends like that, that's an easy Christmas present when the trade comes out. Because if you have friends who like the Turtles and at one point even read them, and they haven't in a long time, this is a great thing.
I don't know that they've ever read any of the comics, but I know they're my age, so they're fans because it's impossible to.
Well, then I would, why not give them to them?
But they know who Jason Aaron is.
Yes. Well, one of them is a comic book buddy. The other is super into Viking stuff, so he read Jason Aaron's Thor.
I see.
Loved
Does he know about Torun Grunbach?
He knows about Northlanders.
Is this the sexiest April O'Neil we've ever seen?
It's pretty sexy. I also love Subway Sharks.
That was a funny.
Which, I just love that Jason Aaron, he'll find a way to put sharks in it.
I also really like. Yeah, you're right. I didn't put that together. I really like Raph's Subway outfit.
Yes.
Yes.
Mikey's Subway outfit, you mean?
Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah, that's cool. This is so good. Josh, the next time you interview Jason Aaron, you got to ask him, what did Jaws do to him, and when?
I think it was a good thing. He loves them. Same thing it did to me.
All right, let's talk about Absolute Batman number 9. Nick Dragotta is back on a new story arc featuring Bane, and you know what? It's so weird because Marcos Martin is one of my favorite comic artists, but I did not like that arc he did, and I felt much better about this book after reading this than I did after that arc. Because
I was a page in, I was like, "Wait, is Dragotta back?" Yes.
Well, I don't know that Dragotta's so good. It's crazy that Nick Dragotta's not done a Hulk book because he's so good at hulking figures. And so to have him doing this version of Bane, I thought it was great. I
would counter that. I like counter programming instead. Like it's so obvious. It's so obvious to put and they did this. It's so obvious to put Ryan Otley on the Hulk. We'll put him on a different thing. See what that looks like. But I'm not normal though.
Like Spider-Man.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I just thought this was really fun. I'm not the biggest Bane fan.
So do you think do you think we're gonna get a reverse reveal? Is it supposed to be Waylon? Did they turn Croc into Bane, or is it gonna be revealed that not actually?
I didn't think that at all.
Oh, really? Okay, that was my immediate thought.
Well, because he's missing, you mean?
Missing and sent to Arc M.
Arc M's the prison they've been sending everybody to throughout the whole series.
I know, but there's also talk about them doing experiments there, and it's where it's sneaking into Arc M that Bruce runs into this version.
I guess so, but I also feel like this Bane is a hyper intelligent kind of nipples out guy. Sorry, I was just looking at that one thing.
I like the. Do you like the Bibbo Bobowski as the prize fighter in this world?
Yeah, I
I just thought this there was a lot of great elements in it. It balanced. I just don't think that last arc worked in almost any way.
The opening scene was excellent. And
Yes,
it set the scales and set the table. And I think that also it shows
the writing was really strong in that scene.
it was really strong. And again, not too much.
Mm-hmm.
Scott Snyder has figured out how to pull back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost disrespectful to say that because
No.
he was very successful from the start. But I did say it to his face. So it's cool. You know, that first scene, like right away, Bane is a threat. Bane is so many comic books, like the bad guy shows up here, whatever. And I was like, this is intimidating. And also because we don't know this Batman well enough. Here's my complaint. It's the thing that's been bugging me all along, and it's sort of solidified from me, is that I want his supervillain friends I want them to look more like the supervillains so that I know who they are.
Yeah, that's fair.
They're giving Harvey the Dark Knight Returns blonde hair and
I will no, but I like the Penguin's thin and good look. I want more visual clues as to who they are.
I really liked that scene though when Alfred first speaks up and Oswald just says like, "Excuse me, like who the fuck are you?" It's like that's good.
You know what? One thing didn't work though is that in that scene, Penguin is like yelling. And then Bruce gets all mad. And then he's like, "Hey, I was just kidding." I was like, no, you were way out of line.
Yeah.
That didn't carry. Just the thing. You know, like you could have done it a little different. It would have worked. But
page 6 has 19 panels, but it worked.
Why were they having sex on a pile of money?
Because Selena stole it, I guess.
I know, but that's weird. Why is he like... I was like,
what
did I miss?
It's just unsanitary.
People love that image. I don't know. It was a flashback. So who knows what was happening when they were younger? But
I like is the skeleton he found in Arc M. Also, I wasn't on the I thought that was great. I love that little Kirk Langstrom.
There you go. Kirk.
Also, they mentioned that Arc M is one of a dozen other black sites, and so my mind immediately went to the alphabet because M is the 13th letter. So you've got like Arc A through B through C.
Yeah.
D.
Yeah. I think the pieces fit together very well in this book.
Bane is dark side sized.
Again, yes, exactly. At the end of this issue, he's also dark side sized.
That should be a thing.
This is still emblematic of this, and Wonder Woman is still emblematic of what the strengths of this absolute line are. Doesn't mean it's perfect. Again, the last arc was pretty rough, but I was very happy at the end of this issue. I was very much back into it. And I was happy about that. And I don't want it to be predicated on Nick Dragotta having to draw every issue. He's not gonna. So they need to figure out how to do it when he's not around. But
be a lot cooler if he did.
I mean, yeah.
Let the man cook, Connor.
So,
Chef Dragotta.
Josh, you want to tell some people some things while we take a break?
See how fast I can do this. I'm gonna micro machines it.
Okay.
Patreon.com. Nope.
Failed immediately.
Patreon. Josh Flanagan. Failed immediately. Josh Flanagan story. Patreon.com/iFanboy. We are listener supported. Directly support the show. Become a part of the great community on Discord and Facebook. Vote for the Patron Pick and get the Patron Power live on the show. And join the monthly Patron Hangout at 10. I'm underselling what they do, and I don't want to do that. So you're directly supporting what we do. It's super important to us. There's a great community. $10 or higher, you will get an ad-free version of all of our shows. Plus, you will get this show, this Pick of the Week program. I would say it's the tent pole of the organization.
Yes,
that you will get a day early on Saturday. So that's a plenty good. And then also, and this isn't even also this week, we could front load this. There is the iFanboy After Show that comes out on Sundays for the patrons at 10 or higher. And it's a little extension to the show. We talk about all the books that did not make this show's rundown. There will be a discount if you sign up for one full year. And at the same time, instead of if you buy it's a podcast donation economy of scale. If you buy 1 year, it's cheaper than doing it monthly, and you can give or send gift memberships, which shockingly has happened, and it's pretty neat. Go to patreon.com/ifanboy/gift for more info. ifanboy.threadless.com, our merch store. We have 22 designs on t-shirts and many items. are available there. There are 2 new designs we just threw up to celebrate iFanboy 2025. A couple of new, and I dare say fun logos. By the way, just had a customer service experience with Threadless. Excellent.
I just bought 2 new shirts.
Excellent.
2 new formats. I bought a new GDAT shirt. I wore that the other day.
iFanboy.com/support there's a PayPal link there for direct donations if that's the thing that you would like to do. Again, we're listener supported. Where you people keep it going. If you find it valuable and you are able and you can chip in, we very much appreciate it. It is not necessarily the show the show will always remain free. This one. But be part of it. iFanboy.com/Amazon is an affiliate shopping link on the site there. So if you're buying anything, you buy it through that. That helps us. Doesn't cost you a thing. Super easy. Bookshop.org is an aggregator of local bookstores if you want to buy books, which are super important businesses. I say it every week and I mean it every week. Where we put those links on the site whenever it's possible, and they have the book that we are trying to tell you about.
The new Booksplode show has it.
There you go.
Let's talk about more comics. I was the only one that read the new Avengers #1.
I added it to my stack once I found out that you wanted to talk about it. So I did.
Sam Humphries in his big return.
It's interesting to me that, I mean, clearly this is trying to catch the wave of the Thunderbolts film, but in the current media world, the Thunderbolts film is already long gone out of the zeitgeist. So this book should have come out 2 months ago.
Correct.
Would it have made a difference?
I'm just going by why they do things.
Sure. And
why they do things is for the movies, but the movie's long gone. I thought this was fun. I had low expectations going into it. It is a One World Under Doom tie-in, although the banner's on the cover, which is strange. The whole issue is basically Bucky and Black Widow having sexy fun time adventures where they have adventures and they bang, and then they have adventures and they bang.
And the movie just goes on and on like that, back and forth until it just sort of.
They hang
Natasha,
out.
though, right? It's
yeah,
not.
It's Natasha. They hang out and debrief in their underwear. Like it's a whole. But what's funny is that the title page says, like, you've met Natasha and Bucky, but who are the other members of the team? Like, I don't know. Is it the people on the cover?
Probably the people on the cover.
I mean, I'm guessing it's the people on the cover.
Also, you notice on the credits page, they sort of blacked out the other members of the team, and they only have Bucky and Natasha, and then they literally introduced new members within the next couple of pages.
Well, yeah, because you haven't met them yet in the story at the time of the thing.
Except for the cover.
Except for the cover.
So
they should black them out on the cover.
They should,
like the first issue of the West Coast Avengers.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's how you do it. That's what they were referring to on the Indicia page. This is ridiculous. I didn't read the book, but I'm mad at it.
So this team is Bucky, Black Widow, Namor, Hulk, Clea, apparently Carnage, which I'm not thrilled about, and X-23.
Well, I feel like there's
Wolverine.
so many symbiotes running around right now.
Cletus, the slack-jawed symbiote.
The only annoying thing in the book is where when X-23 shows up, Natasha's like, is she the best? Or shouldn't you have gotten Logan? And he's like, well, if I gotten Logan, that I would have told you she's the best. So I was like, well, so you're telling me somehow that Laura's better at being Wolverine than Wolverine is?
Well, I also felt like Bucky's dialogue. I know
Hugh Jackman ain't getting any younger.
I know they don't write him in the MCU to sound like a man from the 40s, but this I felt like some of the dialogue stuff between him and Natasha, I was like, I don't think Bucky, like the whole, oh, you were vicious back there, by the way. I want to make out. And I'm just like, would Bucky say, do you want to make out in the middle of a fight?
That one I liked. Those other pieces of dialogue I thought were a little too young sounding. Like they're trying to make him sound like a current guy in his 20s when he is born in the 20s himself. But I didn't mind the makeout part because that was part of the fun, sexy adventures. But I did enjoy that. I didn't love this, but I thought it was way more fun than I was expecting.
The Jackal shows up, Josh. Everyone's fan favorite, the Jackal.
You mean CJ Craig from that one episode of West Wing?
I never got that joke, but yeah.
And this, I'll let you figure that out on your own.
CJ's doing the Jackal. What?
I know.
So that was the new Avengers. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. But enough to keep reading it. I think it's a miniseries. I'm not sure. Star Wars Corner.
Josh, are you reading the new Star Wars book?
It's not good.
It is not great. But I read the first 2 issues because I saw Phil Noto art and I was like, oh, I want to see some Phil Noto.
That can get you sometimes.
It did. And I like other stuff Alex Segura's done. I just don't think, unfortunately, doesn't yet have the voice of the characters, and it's set at a time. It's set after Return of the Jedi.
They need to look different than they did in the one that was between Empire and Jedi. They have to look older. Luke looks the same.
They did okay with Han, I thought, but
yeah, they just need to put some signifiers on him because we've never seen them at this point. And to make him look like the same fresh-faced boy who is on his way. Wait, was the last series was between Star Wars and Empire and Jedi?
Empire and Jedi.
Okay. But either way, like you just need a visual signifier. Because when I started reading, I was like, wait, when is this? And they're saying the New Republic. I was like, so we've already formed the new, like it's all happening. Like put a beard on him or give him longer hair or just something. Also make it not fucking boring. It's not good comic book. I mean, like Charles Soule maybe is not everybody's fan favorite writer, but he's a very good writer and he knows how to work with structure and he knows how to do things. And it's a tough act to follow. And I don't think this is doing it.
So
this reads like, I mean, until I'm like really mad, but it reads like one of those spin-offy ones. Like it reads like Star Wars comics always read, which is
not a good time. It was a dark time.
No, right. Like Star Wars comics have pretty much been terrible forever. And so when you had like really good people on them since the Disney acquisition,
yeah,
you know, there's a standard. But a lot of those sort of side books that would come out weren't good either. This feels like one of those, but it's the main book, so it needs more something. I just took over your whole thing. I'm sorry.
It should say something. It should say something in the title. I think even that when it is, you know, like just. A book called Star Wars #2 tells you nothing about what you're about to read.
Right, give us like episode 9.5 or something like that.
Or just say
they should be like at the beginning or at the cover, like blank years after the fall of
they have that fucking timeline. Put it on the cover.
Yeah,
it just doesn't tell you what you're getting. And if you look at the cover, and it's Luke in his black garb and the green lightsaber. It doesn't, you know, that could be Return.
Yeah, but inside he looks like Luke when he first landed on Dagobah.
Is he wearing his yellow jacket?
He's wearing the orange flight suit, which is what it was.
Well, yeah. All right. Well, there you go.
I have also no recollection what happened in the last issue. None.
Same. There was the beginnings of a trade war and a communications blackout, which as we know, can only mean one thing.
Again?
I do remember that.
All right, let's move.
Wait, one last thing. The droids have nothing to do. There's no droid action in this. That's a problem.
Yeah, that is a problem.
Give the droid something to do.
Those are the books we want to talk about at patreon.com/iFanboy, where every patron gets a vote to add a book to the rundown. One patron, one vote. And this week's winner, by a handful of votes, was Runaways #1 from Rainbow Rowell, Elena Casagrande, D. Cunniff, and Travis Lanham. Published in Marvel Comics at One World Under Doom tie-in. This is Rainbow Rowell's second go at Runaways. Roll.
Yeah, it's hard.
There's too many there's two extra letters in there then. Josh, you were a big fan of that last run she did on Runaways. I didn't read it. And Ryan was a big fan. I didn't read it, but I read this one.
I feel like Josh and I talked about it often on the show.
Yeah, we did.
He talked about it all the time.
It kept getting better. And it never got, it's like whatever it is that you liked that she did, with She-Hulk, this was like that, but in this little but also just like it was self-contained. It's these characters. She hopped on to what made them work for Brian Vaughn initially, and didn't do his thing, did it her way, but it was a really nice family group, and she added a couple of fun additions such as the Doombot and the Genie, who were just odd and they worked really well. And the sort of low stakes drama at the same time, it's like a teen, there's angsty stuff going on where, Nico's going through things. So it's like, it's really serious for the character, but it's not necessarily world ending serious. But it was just like picking up from where we left off.
I did struggle a little bit with the opening sequence because I thought the opening sequence was the Runaways Doombot with Victor LaMancha like draped all over him, and I was like, "Are he and Victor in a kinky cyborg relationship?" No, and I didn't realize till much later in the issue that wasn't meant to be them. So I had a little bit of a problem there.
I did respect the fact that she gave no help. Like, if you're coming onto this book cold, like, there's no introduction, there's no ramp up to what you're reading. It's just a continuation of her last run.
I'm sorry about that.
Also, is it why?
But you're
I mean,
right.
maybe it's just because of their connections to Eastern Europe. But why do all culinary robots in Marvel care about paprika? Vision's putting it in his paprika. Doombot is making goulash. Sent to a gulag.
You don't want that. That's in the Red Hulk book.
It just was no. I liked this, but it was just I kind of respected that. It felt like we talk about this all the time, like an old Marvel comic where I jumped in and had to figure out what the hell's going on, because it is a dicey strategy to start number one with no context.
I don't remember Carolina leaving with the staff of one and going back into space. Was that a different series that I missed, or?
I mean, that was the thing, is I don't really remember how the other one ended, but I kind of remembered who everybody was, and they told us what happened. Like, Carolina took off, Chase took off. I mean, so what happened was Future Gert came back. Right. She said, "Chase, you have to come with me," and you did. I mean, she did explain a lot of it in there, but I don't think
it was in the recap
introduced the characters.
Yeah.
In that way, but I mean, like, as I read it, it's been years. As I read it, I was like, "Oh, right, this and that," and then they mentioned the genie, and I was like, "Right, he's not a genie. He's like an old god or
he's
something.
An elder god." Yeah. Now his name's Gib, because I think it's short for Gaborum. The name.
I believe. Yes.
Now he's nearly Darkseid sized.
Yeah, but he always has been. That's consistent.
Okay.
It's not like the last
but
time
we
saw him.
Is he full grown? Is he going to continue to grow? Will he eventually achieve Darkseid size?
I don't believe so. But I also
it's like the opposite of fun. It's like the anti-life version of a fun size candy bar. Is Darkseid size?
I mean, there wasn't a lot of conflict here. Basically, the whole story is that the Doom bots are being all called home. This is the time to One World Under Doom, and so they have a Doom bot in the team, and they.
I really like the conflict. To me, is again, it's a small one. The conflict is, what's Doombot gonna do, because he's really been like, I am Doom, and that was super fun in the first one. Like, he just is Doom,
delusional,
but also he's their Alfred at the same time. He's not delusional. He's trying to square the different parts of his personality, and now they're putting that to the test for the first time in a way that crosses over with what's going on in the main series. And I was like, that's brilliant. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, because he's happy being Doom. It isn't like the thing where like they come for him, or like it's not like Wall-E or the what was the robot animal movie. If you haven't,
Wild Robot.
Yeah, Wild Robot. Which, by the way, if you haven't watched it, Ryan, watch your ass. Where the robot breaks away and then they come for him. He's like, no, I want this now. The robot, Doombot is conflicted. And I think that's really interesting. And then the reveal at the very end of the issue was great. I was excited. I was like, oh, this is fun. The characters coming and going. It was always been part of the series too.
I liked it. It maybe I'll never do it, but maybe want to go back and read the last series, which I think I read the first issue of and didn't like. I think at the time I've always had a problem with any Runaways not written by Brian K. Vaughan, but I think that was so long ago. It's time to let that go. I thought this was great. I thought her character work is still very strong. It's been so long since I read a Runaways book. I had to really dig deep to remember who all the characters were.
Barely aged.
I did think about that. It's funny because they were the young new characters in the scene, but at this point now they'd be, they're a whole generation.
It's almost like they're only a year or two older. Like, Molly
I mean,
would have been 11.
They have to be.
Now
they have
she's
to be.
Molly's the only one. Molly's the only one who's aged up a little bit, and then obviously Gertrude is from the past, so it's not even. So she's doubly not aged because they pulled her from.
But even Nico was, like she said there, but she still said she's like a teenager. So.
Yeah, which I was a little surprised. I thought they would at least have Nico in her early 20s.
I think they have to be, though, because when you're in your early 20s, it changed. You don't want to lirev in a house with I don't know, like it works like this, and so keep it like this.
Yeah, that has to.
And I liked sexy Kyle Reese vibes reveal at the end with the time travel and hunk show up to save the day.
So this is good. Let's do ratings on Runaways number 1. Ratings out of 5. I'm going to give it 3.8.
Ryan?
I think I'm gonna do a 3.75.
If I'm going with intent and expectation and enjoyment for reader, I'm gonna say 4.25.
Wow.
Oh wow.
I was really happy it was back. I think it got canned for no reason, just like She-Hulk did, and it was she's a novelist, so it's a long form character piece, and I loved it. I'm really happy it's back.
And the second question is, were you going to read it? Otherwise, I had already had it on my list before it was Patron Pick.
Yeah, I would have read it.
Yep.
100%.
And sticking with it, I assume we all are sticking with it.
I'm out.
Josh is out. That's fine.
I'm in. I'll read it twice to make up for Josh.
Patreon.com/iFanboy. Thanks for being patron.
Guys,
Thanks for voting.
I didn't read this
pick.
one either.
You didn't need to. We appreciate you voting every week for the Patron Pick. We like doing that. Let's now move on to the Patron Power. That's where a patron at the $5 or higher level gets a superpower live in the show, like this week's patron.
Adam Sherring. We think it's shearing. Is he cutting sheep? So Adam, so Josh, you know how Jesse Custer has the power with the voice of God?
I do.
I also
Adam.
read Preacher.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, it's branding.
Come on, what?
Here. Come on, it's like Josh's thing.
It's not Josh's thing.
It's Josh's book.
Lots of people like Preacher.
I think it's because I've said for long it's my favorite book.
Adam has the
Batman's
power.
your thing. Preacher's my thing.
Right? Yeah.
I
like
also read
Batman
Preacher. I think I read Preacher first. But
And Batman has no power.
I
So I would never
disagree with
frame
that.
a question that way too. Adam has the power of the voice of Gordon Ramsay. He can manifest Gordon Ramsay's voice while shouting, and it has the desired effect of putting fear into the hearts.
Does
of
he
many.
also have to take his shirt off?
If he wants to? It's not required.
I don't know if he still does it, but Gordon Ramsay's like Morrissey, and that his shirt will always come off at some point.
He does like to tout his level of personal fitness. But
does it? So, what is it?
Does-
I mean,
Was
is this a Scottish man yelling at you, or is there some that compel you to do something?
Is it always about the level of doneness or rawness of a given piece of food, or is it about other things?
It can be about anything. It might only compel people to do things if it is food related and they themselves are in the culinary arts. So if you call someone an idiot sandwich, they really, really feel it. And he sounds exactly like Gordon Ramsay, but only Gordon Ramsay shouting. Like he can't do Gordon Ramsay at normal volume.
So like the guy at the end of the show, as opposed to the guy at the beginning and middle.
Yes, and never the guy on the kids' version of any of the shows where he's nice to the children, but only when he's screaming at incompetent adults.
All right, thanks for being a patron, Adam.
Adults. Sometimes I feel bad for the adults.
They knew what they signed up for.
There was
Thanks
one
patron, Adam. Patreon.com/iFanboy. Thanks for we're along.
It was two overweight twins running an Italian restaurant, and they were crying.
Great episode. I think that restaurant survived. I think he actually helped.
God.
All right, so we had an email that had 3 different questions. I'm gonna let you guys pick. Well, question 1, question 2, or question 3. 1, 2, or 3. 1, 2, or 3.
We just talk about Gordon Ramsay for a few minutes and call it a day.
No, 1, 2, or 3.
You muppet. Josh,
I'm not even reading them. I would just say 3 because I'm guessing randomly. I don't know.
3.
That's a good choice.
All right. Let's do 3. Ben F. from Erie,
Sorry, read it
Pennsylvania.
like Gordon Ramsay.
Not sure how long I've been thinking about this, but it keeps coming back to me. What did happen to Secret Identities outside of the big ones? Superman, Clark, Batman, Bruce, Spider-Man, Peter. It seems like most heroes don't use them anymore. Is there some kind of mandate to show heroes in costumes as much as possible for brand recognition? Do people just not find Secret Identities useful or interesting anymore? What did happen to Secret
Good
Identities?
question. Really good question.
So, in self-correcting about Elongated Man versus Elastic Man, I read that Ralph Dibny, one of the first heroes in the Silver Age to eschew the secret identity, which is interesting.
Well, I remember when I was younger, it was always so weird that Wally didn't have one. Wally West didn't have a secret identity, which seemed to me to be a mistake. I love the secret identity. We had a similar question from someone else this week as well. It came in today, actually.
I mean, is this also a Bendis era thing? Like, is it when he started bringing folks like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones to the
no? Because they've always been. I think it's what we always talk about. It's that the style of storytelling changed, and so there's no longer time in a book to tell waste on pages of people in their in their civilian identities.
I agree with you entirely, and I think my initial thought was it's the movies because they got to be able to show their face all the time, but it isn't really that. It's just that the stories have been amping up the stakes for such a long time because every issue has to be like, this is the moment, that it's so much bigger than the I don't want my neighbor to find out who I am.
Yep.
Which
or dating or
a while. Yeah, they just don't bother with that.
Well, the question we got today was similar in that what happened to supporting casts, and it's the same thing. It's there's no longer some books have them, some books still have them, obviously, but like
Superman, now the supporting cast are like the other Avengers. It's the Grant
Morrison. But like Superman has to have
same thing.
But Superman has like multiple ongoing titles, and I think that gives you a little bit more oxygen to include supporting cast in one of those titles.
Yes, but with the jettisoning of the soap opera, then the storytelling of the soap opera goes away, so you lose not all characters, but most characters don't have a love life anymore. There's no longer someone they're dating, or it's really it's like Peter Parker, and I'm trying to think who else I read regularly has any kind of romance. What usually ends up happening is they give the other person superpowers. So like,
what
Carol has superpowers in Green Lantern. That's
the supporting cast has changed from like the Sesame Street neighborhood, to all of them are just sort of other versions of the same character.
Right.
So there's Super Baby and Super Chimp and Super Kid and Super Twins.
And it's all because they can't spend time on things that aren't about the big story that Josh talked about, the big world-changing event. Takes up all the oxygen. Because they're selling trades and you can't market a story that's just another chapter in a soap opera, as opposed to like, this is a big event. And in that big event, they only have time for the hero to fight the villain. There's no time for anything else.
The only other character who I think is concerned with her secret identity right now is Kamala, is Ms. Marvel. I feel like she is, because she's got her parents and she has to go to school and everything. Also, like, it feels like this is a sort of that Grant Morrison super gods. Why doesn't the Batmobile run on a gas thing?
Right.
Is that once you poke at that and you're trying to be realistic about the characters in the story and treat them like, they're real. Once you poke at that with the secret identity sick, it doesn't work. And so they just ignore it. I
wonder if you're onto something there with Ms. Marvel, in that, like, is it more of a teenage thing? Like, does it make more sense if you're a teenager to have a secret identity for your
It's great with Barry West
versus
Barry West.
Barry Allen, Wally West.
Iris West.
Iris West.
You know what I did there.
Whereas, like, by the time,
I was wrong when I said it. I knew it.
Like, Steve Rogers doesn't have a job. His job is to be Captain America. So you don't need a secret identity if that's just your
I'm
job.
not entirely convinced he had wanted any. Like, he must have, but I feel like.
But like Clint Barton never had, like, his job was to be an Avenger. So like.
Yeah. Well, he was a criminal though, so he had to be.
So you definitely need to hide your identity when you're a criminal, but once you become an Avenger. And I also think it's interesting that, like, the trend away from secret identities, I mean, it did. I think you do have to give the MCU some credit. I mean, the first MCU movie ends with Iron Man revealing his identity. Like,
I don't think you're necessarily wrong that that's part of the soup, but I think the changes were already happening by that point, and because of just the way that was about when the way that they started telling stories changed. I think Bendis' New Avengers was the last sort of real example of the soap opera story.
It's almost like how, I mean, it's partly, the early 2000s I remember very fondly for a lot of, like, really great slice of life comics, and it's almost when you lose the slice of life element from superhero comics, you lose the secret identity. And it's also right around when Kurt Busiek and Stuart Immonen's excellent Superman Secret Identity came out, which makes one of the strongest arguments in my comic reading experience for why having a secret identity matters, because in that book,
I think it's hugely important. I hate when they get rid of it. I hate people say it's stupid. I think it's a really integral, it's a foundational element of the superhero story, and
I think
also just fun.
I think the other is one thing with the Western world's loss of work-life balance. These guys are no different. They're being taken along too. But the other side of making everything a world-ending event is that nothing matters.
Yeah.
In this sense, it makes sense, but it does, like, great. The Kotati plant people are going to ruin the earth, and then next week the Kree are going to do it again, and like,
but also because if you never learn about the people around the characters, then what does it even matter anyway?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like
You know?
rather than like spending time in the bullpen of the Daily Planet, now it's just eating shawarma with your fellow heroes. Like their social set is only other people with powers and identities, which we sort of touched on.
Part of the reason why I really loved Robin and Batman this week so much is because you got really great Alfred in there, and Alfred has also always been part of the team, but he's also just a regular person who runs their regular life.
Didn't you love it when Alfred used to put on a little domino mask and drive around?
Yes, and also like what's great about the Batman and Robin Year One mini is we're spending as much time with them outside of the costume as we are inside, and the dealings with the having to deal with the social workers and schools and everything, and that makes a richer, more interesting world than just constantly punching.
I really think with actually, you know what, they've been doing it a bit in Superman. You know, like he's been spending time at the Daily Planet.
Superman's the most traditional in this sense. He still has a supporting cast, and for a while he didn't have. God, that was so bad. The only bad thing that Bendis did was get rid of the suit, and then he put it back. Yeah,
that was terrible. Matt Murdock, and it was a great run. I don't, but that part of it, Matt Murdock, you know, like he struggled with it a lot, probably more than any other modern character, and they keep like making it public and taking it away.
He's had a supporting cast a little bit in Solid and Ahmed's run, but
I think the thing you lose when you lose the secret identity is like you lose wacky hijinks, and like how many Silver Age issues was just like the drama was Superman trying to keep his identity secret from Lois, who was on his case and about to find out, right? And so I think you lose like hijinks and shenanigans.
Yes.
And that also comes without like the adultification of comics, you know, how comics aren't for kids anymore.
But every storyline has to be Avengers Endgame now.
Yeah. Because you got to sell trades and
not Runaways.
There's fewer chapters, fewer pages per chapter now. Like it went from, you know, we lost 2 pages per issue, and then we lost 1 issue per arc, and it's just, you know, it's a lot of real estate. You're losing, you know, 2, 4, 6, 12 pages in a traditional arc. That's a lot of pages. A couple of us have gone to, you know, the character going on a date or something, learning anything else about them, but they go away, and all you're left with is whatever is the heart of the big story you're telling. And that's what I think the main thing is. That reason why these things are all gone. But thanks, Ben. All your questions were good. We only had time for one. We apologize for that, but that's the way it goes sometimes.
You know that in Endgame, the cap on cap fight, they were both originally unmasked, and the one who's wearing a mask, it's all CG. It's like they just put a mask on him in post.
No, I didn't know that.
I didn't even remember a cap on cap
fight choreography. Remember he like finally knocks out original Avengers era Cap and says that is America's ass and walks away.
That was not a good movie, and I've forgotten most of it. ComicBook@iFanboy.com is how you can write and get on the show if we want to hear from you. All your comic book ideas and thoughts and complaints and recriminations for Ryan and or Josh, either one.
Well, I don't think I deserved any recriminations. Josh hasn't even joked about this being a terrible episode because I'm
earlier in the show you invited emails attacking you. Literally,
you know how Connor doesn't even invite the possibility that someone would have a recrimination with him because he would.
No, I don't want it. I was saying I'm happy to take one from you and Ryan. Let's plug some shows. So 2 weeks ago we had our media.
He's still fighting off the Dalmatian onslaught.
Yeah, people need to really understand what I'm saying and get over it. Media Explode 2 weeks ago. Our ranking of post 2000 Spielberg movies came out 2 weeks ago. I'm just gonna keep saying that. This past week, Josh and I reviewed Ronin, the Frank Miller cyberpunk samurai adventure, and we may have totally missed the whole plot, but that's not surprising considering. This coming week, and literally this week coming out after the show, you're gonna have the next Media Explode. We're doing old men and old movies. Rad. It's the show everyone asked for. What year did that movie come out? 1986. The 1986 sports drama Rad. And we're going to have a special guest with us for that one as well. And then coming in July, we're going to have our July Media Explode. We're going to do the TV game plus a short summer mailbag. So if you want to get your email in for the short summer mailbag, put Media Explode in the subject line. We're going to have a review of Superman. We're going to have a review of the Fantastic Four. And we're going to have a Talk Explode. So we're going to have 4 extra shows in July. Very, very busy month. Super awesome to do that when we're all on vacation.
So this is technically 8 shows because one of them is Fantastic Four.
I'm not going on vacation.
No. 8 shows in July.
He's working all summer. That's why he's not available. And I'm not going anywhere. We're not all living in your world, pal.
You're up next.
I am?
Yep.
I refuse. You can find our library of many shows and all of them that we have available for you at ifanboy.com, wherever you get podcasts. You can never miss a show. I mean, you should. We will help you not miss shows if you are following us on social medias at iFanboy Comics on Instagram and Threads. Held back on there at iFanboy Comic at ifanboy.com on Blue Sky, and individually we are CSGO Patrick, J Flanagan, and Ryan Haupt on Instagram. All those consonants make it hard to keep it one syllable, but I like the challenge. Don't miss former iFanboy writer. We need a different word for that than former iFan, because it sounds like we fired him, but it's just because there's no writing anymore.
I'm a disgraced iFanboy writer.
Yeah.
Canceled.
Canceled iFanboy writer Jeffrey. Carol.
He knows what he did. He knows what he did.
Like a knee-high file.
There was that one Christmas party, and it was all over for him.
I mean, and everyone was so surprised because you just wouldn't suspect it.
We were like, Jeff?
I mean, I know who
Jeff did that.
I know who spiked the punch, but I'm not.
Right.
I'm not a rat.
We all drank the punch, and only one of us did what he did.
Yeah.
And so he's got no excuses.
How did he even get the animals in there?
It was David who spiked.
He does deep dive videos that we put up on the Instagram and the YouTube about forgotten comic book minutiae.
I've watched a few of those. I didn't know he was doing that. They're great.
Every Tuesday and Friday across our social channels and on YouTube. And as long as you don't come in contact with him and direct, he's great.
That's why this is great media, because he doesn't violate any orders to stay away from people or children.
Yeah.
Please consider writing us a review or
leaving. The children thing was one step too far.
Please consider writing us a review.
By the way, just for context about why this is ridiculous, he's a librarian, not a joke.
And super nice, super nice.
He's
listen.
Except for that one night at the party.
I said you guys should have required background checks of all the writers, and nobody listened to me. So that's
where's the fun in that?
Please consider writing us a review or leaving a star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you're listening on Pocket Cast, you need to be subscribed and have downloaded a few episodes before you can rate it. Subscribe to youtube.com/ifanboy if you want to see Jeff read, where you can watch a video version of the show, as well as our special edition shows, comic book deep dives, and an archive of all our old video shows that we, myself excluded, did from 2007 to 2012. And finally, join us in the iFanboy After Show exclusively on Patreon, where we'll share our thoughts on all other books we read this week that didn't make the rundown. That's on patreon.com/ifanboy for everyone at the $10 a month tier and up.
All right. That was a long one. Thanks for listening. My name is Connor.
I'm Ryan. Thank you to everyone who's invited me on your show in the iFanbase, and I haven't been able to come on yet. I will try to get on all your shows, and then I'll plug them here when I do so.
I will refer you to Ryan if you ask me to be on your show.
I accept.
Because I'm out of time. Goodbye.
That sounded dark. Are you dying?
And the rest is silence.